Marcus, and Michael Washington stepped through the towering iron gates of prestigious Whitmore Academy for the first time on a crisp September morning. The 17-year-old twins carried their worn duffel bags over their shoulders, both feeling the weight of hundreds of curious eyes following their every move across the manicured campus grounds. The academy looked like something from a movie. Ancient brick buildings covered in ivy stretched toward the cloudy sky. Students in pressed uniforms walked between classes, their conversations hushed as they noticed the new arrivals. Marcus adjusted his scholarship acceptance letter in his jacket pocket, reminding himself why they were here. Their grandmother had worked 3 jobs to help pay for the application fees. Their mother had sewn their uniforms by hand because buying new ones would have meant choosing between rent and food that month. These boys from the rough side of Detroit had earned their place at one of the most exclusive preparatory schools in the country through pure academic excellence. But they quickly realized that grades meant nothing in the social hierarchy of Whitmore Academy. Michael, the older twin by 12 minutes, had always been the quieter of the two. He observed everything around him with careful dark eyes, taking mental notes of which students seemed friendly and which ones whispered behind their hands when they passed. Marcus, on the other hand, had inherited their father's quick temper along with his broad shoulders and natural athleticism. Their first day began in the dining hall, a grand room with vaulted ceilings and long wooden tables that had fed generations of wealthy students. The twins grabbed trays and moved through the serving line, grateful for the hot breakfast after weeks of cereal and toast at home. They found an empty table near the back and sat down to eat. That's when they met their first tormentor. Bradley Ashworth III approached their table with the confidence that only came from a trust fund and 3 generations of family legacy at the school. He was flanked by his usual crew of followers, each one wearing the same smirk of entitled superiority. Bradley's blonde hair was perfectly styled, and his uniform looked like it had been tailored by professionals. Well, Bradley said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Look what diversity programs have brought us this year. I hope you boys know how to serve food properly, because that's probably the only job you'll get after graduation. Marcus felt his jaw clench, but Michael placed a steady hand on his brother's arm under the table. They had promised their grandmother they would not cause trouble, no matter what anyone said or did to them. We're here to study, just like everyone else, Michael said quietly, not looking up from his breakfast. Bradley laughed, and his friends joined in. Study? Boys like you don't belong in classrooms. You belong in the kitchen or cleaning our dormitories. This school has standards, and frankly, I'm not sure how you two managed to sneak past them. Other students had stopped eating to watch the confrontation. Some looked uncomfortable, but none stood up to defend the twins. A few even chuckled along with Bradley's cruel comments. Marcus started to stand, but Michael's grip on his arm tightened. Their grandmother's words echoed in his mind. Education is your weapon against ignorance. Don't let anyone take that away from you. The twins finished their breakfast in silence, while Bradley continued making jokes at their expense. They learned that day that mealtimes would always be a challenge. No matter where they sat, someone would find a way to make them feel unwelcome. Their academic classes proved to be their only refuge. Both brothers had always excelled in school, and Whitmore's rigorous curriculum actually excited them. Marcus discovered a passion for advanced mathematics, while Michael dove deep into literature and history. Their teachers, most of whom had been at the academy for decades, seemed genuinely impressed by their knowledge and work ethic. Dr. Elizabeth Harper, their English teacher, pulled Michael aside after his first week. She was an older woman with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a neat bun. Your essay on social justice and classical literature was remarkable, she told him. I've been teaching here for 30 years, and I've rarely seen such insightful analysis from a first-year student. Michael felt a rare smile cross his face. Thank you, Dr. Harper. Literature has always been my escape. Well, don't let it just be an escape, she advised. Let it be your voice. This school needs students who can think critically about the world around them. Meanwhile, Marcus was making his own connections in the mathematics department. Professor Chun, a soft-spoken man who had immigrated from Taiwan in his youth, recognized something special in Marcus's approach to problem-solving. "You see patterns differently than other students," Professor Chun observed during one of their after-class discussions. "Have you ever considered advanced engineering or computer science?" Marcus had never really thought about his future beyond getting through each day at Whitmore. "I just know I want to use my mind to build something better than what I grew up with." "Then, you're in the right place," Professor Chun assured him. "Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." But outside the classrooms, life remained difficult. The twins' dormitory situation was particularly challenging. They had been assigned a room with each other in the oldest building on campus, a drafty structure that housed mostly scholarship students and a few international students whose families weren't quite wealthy enough for the newer facilities. Their room was small and cramped, with 2 narrow beds, a single window that barely opened, and a radiator that clanged all night during the cold months. In contrast, students like Bradley lived in spacious singles in the renovated honors dormitory, complete with private bathrooms and high-speed internet. The real torment began during their second week when they tried to join extracurricular activities. Marcus had always loved basketball and thought he might try out for the team. He had played on his high school team in Detroit and knew he was good enough to compete at any level. The tryouts were held in a state-of-the-art gymnasium that probably cost more than most people's houses. Marcus performed well during the skills demonstrations, easily outplaying several returning team members. His shots were accurate, his defensive positioning was excellent, and his natural athleticism was obvious to everyone watching. But when the roster was posted the next day, Marcus's name wasn't on it. He found Coach Williamson in his office, a spacious room decorated with trophies and team photos dating back decades. The coach, a red-faced man who had played college football in his youth, barely looked up when Marcus knocked. "Coach, I was wondering about the tryout results. I thought I performed well yesterday." Coach Williamson finally glanced up, his expression dismissive. "Son, this isn't some inner-city public school team. We have certain standards here, certain traditions. The boys on this team come from good families who have supported this school for generations. They understand teamwork and discipline." Marcus felt his chest tighten with anger and disappointment. "I understand teamwork and discipline too, Coach. I've been playing basketball since I was 8 years old." "I'm sure you have," the coach replied with a patronizing smile. "But this team represents Whitmore Academy. We need players who can represent our values both on and off the court." The message was clear without being explicitly stated. Marcus wasn't rejected because he lacked skill. He was rejected because he didn't fit the image they wanted for their team. Michael faced similar rejection when he tried to join the debate team. Despite his obvious intelligence and articulation, the faculty advisor suggested he might be more comfortable with the community service club instead. The twins learned to navigate a world where their academic achievements were acknowledged in private but ignored in public. They excelled in their classes, earning top grades and praise from their teachers, but they remained invisible when it came to leadership opportunities, social events, and recognition. The psychological toll began to show after their first month. Marcus, who had always been outgoing and confident, became quiet and withdrawn. He spent most of his free time alone in their room, working on math problems or staring out their small window at the campus below. Michael threw himself into his studies with an intensity that worried his brother. He would stay up until 3 in the morning reading and writing, trying to prove through academic excellence that he belonged at Whitmore Academy. The harassment wasn't always as obvious as Bradley's dining hall comments. It was subtle and persistent. Their belongings would mysteriously disappear from their room and turn up in strange places around campus. Their textbooks would be accidentally knocked off tables in the library. They would arrive at study groups to find that the location had been changed without anyone informing them. During their second month, the twins discovered that several students had created a group chat specifically to mock them. Screenshots of their conversations leaked, revealing cruel jokes about their appearance, their family's economic status, and racist stereotypes about their intelligence and behavior. Marcus found out about the chat when a sympathetic international student showed him the messages on her phone. Reading the words of his classmates, people he sat next to in class every day, was devastating. Look at the charity cases trying to keep up with real students, one message read. I heard they're both on full financial aid. My dad says the school only accepted them to look good for donations from liberal alumni. Another student